and welcome to 4,000 and Counting. I am Watty, and today I am joined by Guildford Flames captain Brett Ferguson on the back of last night's Challenge Cup semi-final victory. Brett, congratulations. You are heading to Sheffield for another Challenge Cup final.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for having me back, Waddy. I know we did this in the summertime, but it's always good to chat with you. I finally got to meet up with you at a game. When was that? A couple weeks ago when you guys came down and watched us play Cardiff.
Yeah, it
Um,
was good.
but yeah, we're buzzing right now. We're excited.
Yeah, I got to go to the last couple of Cardiff games versus you boys down in Guildford. First game, I thought you boys were literally dominant, and before you knew it, you're 2-0 down against the run of play, and then you were 3-0 down, and what a comeback, 4-3. And then the following game, I just thought you boys looked very, very good. You were fast and good control. I McAdam, fucking hell, what a goalie this guy is.
Yeah, he's good. And he kind of suits our style of play because we do give up some chances just the way we play. And he's usually there to bail us out.
He plays the puck very well as well. Like he's out in the corner, he's got the puck, he wants the dish, and
You
then he's
should come to
so
a
big.
come to a practice sometime. He takes like one-timers with his goalie stick. He's like,
He does. I
he could
love that.
shoot it harder than half of our guys.
I find that with goalies. I used to play with Stevie Lyle back in the day, and he'd come on practice with like player stick and that. And he's ripping like 90-mile-an-hour clap bombs. You're like, how?
Oh yeah.
You're a goalie, but I don't know. I guess they watch enough of us coming down and shooting pucks on them that they know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
Obviously, you touched on the game that I come down to. Your parents were there. How did they enjoy being over? Did they enjoy the game and enjoy being over in the UK?
Oh, they love it. I mean, they just love the passion from the fans and they came and got to see 5 games. One was up in Glasgow. They got to come to a game in Cardiff, which is always good because they have good fan support and good atmosphere there. Glasgow had a awesome awesome crowd that night. It was the first leg of the Challenge Cup, so it was a sellout.
Imagine
And
coming all the way from North America and it's 0-0. You'd be like, what the fuck? What's going on here? Like, someone score a
then
goal for me.
my mom was saying like she's watched so many of my games over my career, junior, university, pro, and like we were trying to think, and I don't think I've ever been in a 0-0 game before, like ever.
Well, especially because it would have to, in league play, it would go to OT. There would be a winner. The
Yeah,
fact that
exactly.
it was a semi-final, it means it could finish 0-0. Like, you don't hear of that across Europe or in the
No,
NHL or
you
anywhere.
don't see it. And but to be honest, it wasn't a boring game. Like it was there was chances at each end, there was posts being hit, and it was physical. It was like for a 0-0 game, that's about as entertaining as it can get, you know.
So the second leg being last night, a 6-3 victory for you boys. How did the game pan out? What was the plan going in? And did you boys execute the plan the way you wanted to?
Yeah, well, I mean, with that 0-0 game, like the message is clear. Like you just have to win the game. Sometimes you get into those aggregate scores, and it's like you're up one or you're down one, or maybe you're up two, and your mentality kind of changes because you're like, oh, you have a bit of a cushion, but when it comes down to it, and it's the same going into this final with Sheffield, it's just like it just comes down to one game. It's like you just got to win tonight. You don't have to be better than that team every night. You just got to be better than them that night. And that was kind of our message last night was, all we got to do is win a game. And fortunately for us, it was a home game. It's a long trip from Glasgow. They're a little bit beat up right now, and we just wanted to take advantage of that, and we did. We played well.
Speaking of long trips from Glasgow, you were telling me in the bar there, you boys before that Cardiff game, you obviously did have the game against the Clan. How long did it take you boys to get home in the end from
Yeah.
Glasgow to Guildford?
Yeah, we've messed around with our travel a little bit because we were flying up to Scotland, and then we ran into a couple situations where our gear wasn't coming back with us on the Sunday to get home. So then we were bussing back through the night, and we get on the M40 and there was an accident, and they said, oh, it's going to be an hour. Then an hour turned into 9 hours. We were sitting on the M40 for 9 hours, and we ended up getting home at about 1:30 in the afternoon. and then you're home, grab something to eat, shower, change, and back to the rink to play Cardiff, one of the top teams in the league. So that was a tough one. We were on that bus for 15 hours
That
after
is
the game. Like,
that's a tough go round for anybody. I don't care how out west in Canada you are or wherever you're from. 15 hours sitting on a bus, especially when you're not moving, like you
yeah,
just sat there. It's so
yeah, and it's
taxing.
you know it's we have a nice bus that we use, but it's not comfortable for 15 hours. There's nothing's comfortable for 15 hours.
Especially when you got to then play. Like, you know what? If that's a Sunday rolling into the Monday and Digger goes, fuck it, boys, you got a day off tomorrow after the
Yeah.
but you were literally getting back at like 1:30, probably a little bit of pasta or something, and then back to the rink and you're expected to just play a game. And the fact that you boys came out and played the way you did is testament to the team this year.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, sometimes that's almost it almost helps you a little bit because you just like you don't even have time to think. You kind of just like, yeah, you know what, screw it. We got to go play. We might as well play hard, you know? Like
Yeah.
you don't think about it. You got all the excuses in the world you can use, but you just go out there and play, and maybe subconsciously you just play a little bit more loose and you're able to make a few more plays. But that game we did run out of gas towards the end. We were up 4-2 in the third, and we Cardiff ended up tying it, and then obviously you go to the shootout, and they have a defenseman that scores 3 goals on you. That was
Unbelievable, by the way.
impressive. All nice goals too. That was really impressive. So,
Three really different looks on those
yeah,
shots.
yeah.
Like he was giving me TJ Oshie vibes big time. Like he's coming down. I bet if it went another round, he would have been coming back for sure.
Oh yeah, I think you got to keep going with the guy because he was sniping. He was going around the goalie. He looked like a skilled forward the way he was coming down there. Like he was good.
I was speaking to Todd recently. I didn't realize the guy's only 23. Like he's gonna have a good bit about him in the next few years here.
Yeah, he's good. He's got a hard shot. He's a good player for them.
He's big as well.
Yeah.
He's a real big body. Let's go look ahead to the Challenge Cup final. So it is in Sheffield. I am obviously it's not a Sheffield home fixture, even though it is. But the league have kind of divvied it up. I think Sheffield got 7,900 tickets. There's like 1,200 tickets for the Flames fans. Steelers sold their block out in about 5 minutes. It's gone crazy. So you guys are, even though it's a league cup, so to speak, and it's held at Sheffield. Are, are you excited to be like that outnumbered? You're going into their backyard. You've had some success there in the previous like couple of seasons. I believe you won there twice last year.
Yeah,
What's
I mean,
sorry, go.
Sheffield, they have a great fan base, and it can be a bit of a hostile environment. Um, but you can get them to turn on them too. So you go in there and you play a good game, and it's like we were kind of talking about that before we started recording here. Like it's one game, and we've had some success there in the past, and it's like kind of what I said before. We don't have to be better than Sheffield every night. We just gotta be the better team on that ice for 60 minutes in one game in the middle of March. Like it's anyone's game really, and a lot of pressure on them being at home in front of a huge crowd, and I just know we're gonna be ready, and we'll be fired up. But it is a very good Sheffield team, so I'm really excited for it. It'll be awesome.
They are a very good Sheffield team, and the fact that they currently are leading the league by 15 points. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're 20 points ahead of Belfast after 36 games, which if you'd have told anybody at the start of the season, they wouldn't have believed you. Is the Sheffield Steelers team one of if not the best team you've seen in your elite league tenure?
Yeah, they're good. I mean, they're deep right from their back end. All their forward lines are good. And you gotta give a lot of credit to that team too. They being what they've been through this year with with the Adam
Yeah.
Johnson being a part of that in their building. You got to give their leadership group a lot of credit for keeping the boys together, and even their staff. Obviously, they've done a good job making sure everyone has the resources and the help that they need getting through that. So you got to give them a lot of credit for that, because traumatic event to be a part of. And obviously they have guys with good resumes. They got guys that work hard. They're a good team. I think, I don't know, some of the Cardiff teams that we used to play against when they had Ling Lei and Haddad and those guys, like those were freaking good
Wagon.
teams. Yeah, they were big and strong and hard to play against. But this Sheffield team's right up there. They're a good team.
And I mean, we can touch on the Adam Johnson thing there, but we take it back even further. A friend of mine, friend of the show, Alex Graham. Obviously,
Yeah.
he was due to go there, and he passes away in the summer. Just like Sheffield could have had every excuse this year to pack their tents, and they haven't done that. So as you say, you got to just congratulate them for this far, and the leadership group. Obviously, Robert Dowd is a big part of that, and today he's been named the next captain of Great Britain, which is something that comes as no shock. I think we did a video way back, maybe April, May time, and we talked about Jonathan Phillips retiring from Steelers and who would be the next GB captain, and Robert Dowd was our pick. It seems like the smart choice. You get to play against Dowdy, 6 times a season. What sort of competitor is he?
Yeah, I've talked to him a few times after games, just coming through the hallways and stuff. He seems like a real class act. He's a nice guy. But I love the way he plays. Like he's got skill. He plays hard. I've been in a
It's a bit
fight.
like yourself, actually.
Yeah, yeah, he's good. He's got a great shot. He plays hard and the guy's tough too. Like
Yep.
he'll drop the gloves. I got a lot of respect for Robert Dowd, and I think he was obviously deserving of being named the captain of the GB team, especially with the job he's done in his role as captain of the Steelers this year. But I really like him as a player. He's a guy that you hate to play against, but you wish he was on your team.
Oh, 100%. One of my favorite things is obviously the imports don't check the game notes their first year here, and you can see them like cross-checking Dowdy, and then they drop their shit and he speeds bags them. They're fucking hell, what was that? I was like, oh yeah, he's tough as well. You can snipe
Yeah,
and he'll beat your wheels off here. But he's built like a brick shithouse, Dowdy. Like he's a solid boy, and he's Sheffield through and through. He's been there for as long as I can remember, and he was an obvious choice for captain for there, and an obvious choice for captain for GB. Obviously, you've got your boy Oki away with GB this week. What did you make of the fact that obviously you boys went into the cup semi last night? Oki's unavailable due to international duty. Robert Lakovic is unavailable due to cup duty. So it kind of was a wash on that, but it must be quite frustrating to lose one of the arguably the top D men in going into a cup semi final.
yeah, I didn't like it. I was pretty disappointed in it at first. It was kind of one of those things where you're like, this doesn't seem right. Like, how do you take a couple players off teams that are playing their biggest game of the season, and kind of pull the rug out from underneath them and just say like, oh yeah, these guys just can't play for you this week. But duty calls for those guys. They get to represent their country, so happy for them in that right, but it I didn't like it, to be frank, but it was what it was, and you can't complain about it. It's just, yeah.
Well, you look
I
across.
hope, I, I hope that they can do something in the future to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Well, you look across Europe right now. Czech are on a break, Slovakia are on a break, Germany are on a break. Everybody else is on a break, and the Elite League goes ahead this weekend. I mean, I've spoke to a couple of people. We'll be putting a video out about why, but the fact that guys, well, like Cardiff, for instance, they have a game on Friday night at home. Cardiff have got like 6 guys in the GB roster. That's a line plus a goalie. Crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, especially for obviously, like you said, Sheffield's a bit ahead in the league table right now, but Cardiff is still they're in the hunt, and they're missing those guys, and same for us. We're still trying to we're still believing that there's a chance that the league is up for grabs,
Come
and
on, Fergie. No, it's not. No, it's not.
we got three
They would
games.
have to lose out, right?
Well, we got 3 games against Sheffield. Cardiff's got games against Sheffield. Belfast has games against Sheffield. Yeah, maybe they could lose 7 in a row or something.
Even
Not
if they
like,
lost 7 in a row, like
they'd still be in the lead, yeah.
Yeah, they'd still be in the lead. I just
Um, but yeah, for positioning too for that first round of playoffs,
home seed, right? You want to be
you
that.
know,
You want to be
yeah,
that home seed.
we have 2 games this weekend that we're going to be missing. Benny, he's a big part of our decor. He's a he's our power play guy. Obviously a guy you look on to help create offense, and so you can't just replace that, um, in one weekend. But there's probably 7 or 8 teams that are missing those guys. So
It's
it kind
tough.
of, yeah.
It is tough, and it's something the league needs to look at as a whole. And well,
Well, the break would certainly be nice. At
how
least
nice would it be sitting in Spain right now with a pint
yeah,
and some sunshine, as opposed to, well, I don't know what it's like in Surrey right now, but over
yeah.
here in Hampshire, it is pissing down for a change. Like, you
It
boys played a lot of games to this point, and I know I think you're Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday coming up. So, these little international breaks, as much as the fans probably don't want to miss their hockey fix at the weekend. But there's how many guys are carrying knocks at this point? How many guys are a little bit beaten up? And just over 4 or 5 days sitting in the sunshine would make a massive difference. I think it'd make the hockey better come end of February, March, leading into the playoffs.
Oh, for sure. Everyone's banged up at this point. Like it doesn't matter which team, which guy. Everyone's got something that's nagging on them that maybe a week in Spain could fix.
Well, absolutely. And the fact that you guys are over here, it is so easy to travel to mainland Europe. And, like one of my clients, he's from Portugal. He was saying last week it was 26 degrees. I was like,
Oh,
fuck, come on. Like,
yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
well, you just
Yeah,
go take the clubs, swing the wrenches for 4 or 5 days, sit by the pool, like whatever it is. Well, even if you're like a guy that's big workout guy, even just getting back in the gym and doing some more
oh yeah.
gym work or whatever it is that would make you feel better going into the home stretch, I think it's something that the league definitely need to look at.
Yeah, the mental part of it's huge. I mean, my partner, she's in Mexico right now. You met her the other
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
She's in Mexico visiting her family right now, and it's like even just for her to get the break from work and everything, it's just like that part of it can just rejuvenate you massively for the home stretch. And it'd be nice. I hope in the future they can put that in. We had one last year actually, and
For the worlds, am I right?
yeah, for the worlds, yeah, which was nice. Yeah, like you said, all the other countries do it. I think it would just be beneficial for this GB team who's now in the top division, and they're vying for the Olympics here. Like those guys could get together and practice and maybe make their team just that little bit much better to put them over the edge to get into the Olympics, or to not just be on the cusp of that first group, but maybe be a mainstay in that first group if they can get a little bit more time together. Especially like you were saying, some of these guys are starting to age out of the team. Um, just to get the guys together to practice and learn kind of the culture and the expectations that they demand from their playing for their country.
Well, I was discussing it with you off air, and co-host Mark, he's sick as a dog right now, but he texted me this today. This Olympic qualifier that we're going into right now. Here's one for you folks. Serbia, average age 23.27. China, average age 22.5. Romania, average age 27.5. GB, average age 30.9. So, like, we're on average like 7.5 years older than China, 7 years older than Serbia, 3 years older than Romania, sorry. Like
Like,
when you then look at Sweden and all the other nations, I'm pretty sure it's going to be very similar. There is going to be a point where we have to start bringing the next crop of young guys through. I talk about Kieran Brown all the time, and this isn't a dig at Ben Davis, by the way. Benny, still love you. I still think you have you on my roster every day of the week. But when a guy like Josh Waller comes out through injury, and Ollie Bettridge, who are arguably going to be some of the guys that are in amongst the points, who are going to be expected to do some of the offensive, lugging of the mail. You then bring Benny Davis in, who's arguably more of a shutdown guy, a PK guy. Why not bring Kieran Brown in and if you're never going to bring him in against like essentially tier three nations, which they are, these countries that we're facing off against, they're playing in Division 1B, Division 2A. That is a fantastic opportunity to start blooding in some new talent. Whether it, I, whether it's ever going to happen, a National League player making the senior team, I do not know. I know that a couple of, obviously him, Sam Gospel, and another couple on that, what you talked about there, on that mid-season break last year, they got called up into the squad. So they were in and around the training squad. They skated. They would have got some experience. If that was to then happen again this year, you give the guys a bit of a longer break. You can bring some of the guys in that are not going to be competing in the games, but they're going to be in and around the squad. They're going to be getting the ice time. They're going to be listening to Pete Russell's chats, Adam Keefe. You're gonna get to work with the coaches. It's going to make us better as a nation going forward.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, even if you can do that where you got a break and you can bring some, I don't know if there's a rule on how many guys you can bring in just for a camp to skate or whatever, but you know, if you can bring those guys in and like just give them a little bit of a taste, like kind of develop a hunger to make that squad and want to put on that jersey, I think it would be great. And some people might be saying, "Oh, you just want the week-long break so you can go to on vacation." But no, I actually I cheer for the GB team. I want them to do well, and I hope that they can, you know, continue some of the success they've had and get the younger players in there so they can continue that and have some longevity in that success.
Well, the Olympics would be huge for Great Britain because against the TV station's better judgment, they wouldn't have a fucking choice but to put us on BBC or what mainstream television is so difficult now. You know, all the Elite League being streams, the GB being streams. So unless you're already dialed into the sport and a fan of the sport in this country, the barrier to entrance to actually watch it is so difficult. Like you're not just gonna on a whim go, I might just buy a £15 GB stream. You're not going to do that. But if it's on BBC One and it's not, it's right there. It's right in the middle. You can fire it up. Especially, obviously, you touched on the Olympics and stuff like that. 2026, 2030, it's been confirmed that NHL players are in for the Olympics. It is going to be a best on best. It's going to be huge. And
Yeah.
to get for us to be able to qualify for that, that would be fantastic. It would grow the sport so much in the UK. It would get more eyeballs on it, and whatever we have to do that. And it starts. We're recording Thursday. I think 3 hours time. The first game against China starts tonight. Like it has to be a win, nothing less.
Yeah, for sure. I think I totally agree with you. If they could get more exposure, I mean, I don't know. You know, I read the stats on stuff like ice hockey is the most viewed, the most attended indoor sport in the UK.
Yep.
Be great to get some of that on TV, especially these Olympic qualifying games, and you know, start to bring some awareness. Like, hey, you guys got a team here that could qualify to be in a best on best tournament in the world and be up there with, you know, some of the great hockey nations. Like I think the more exposure you could get, you know, if you can get it, you should try and get it, you know.
Yeah, even if you obviously Mark lives in Vienna, you know, I guarantee Austria's games this week are on mainstream TV.
Yeah.
Denmark, their games will be on TV. Like wherever it is, games are going to be on TV. Everybody in the entire country. So we have 67.7 million people in the UK. And by doing it on a streaming platform like a YouTube or however else you want to do it, mainstream TV, whatever it is, but for free, you're gonna have options to get all of those eyes on. I'm not saying you will, but you're gonna have an option. By doing it as a paywall, you're only gonna have the diehards. And
Oh,
especially this weekend being like league games still going on. If you're a Guildford Flames fan, you're not gonna not go to the game on Saturday because GB are playing on. But you might have your TVR set up, you know, you're recording
yeah,
it, you'll come home, you'll watch it, like the viewership will still be there.
for sure. Even just to get those games on at, you know, if it's on the TV, maybe it starts coming on at the pubs and people are watching and, you know, I know a lot of people ask from home, like, if they can watch the games, if they're on TV and stuff like that. And it's tough being like, no, they don't televise them, you know?
No. Well, I think what the PWHL doing, the women's hockey right now on YouTube. Every time I log on, there's like 10,000 people watching the games, and the stands are packed out. It's not like
Yeah,
10,000 people are on YouTube and there's fucking three people in the stands. I
for
think
sure.
they had 13,500 at game, 9,000, 8,000. Like they're bringing in big numbers through the door, and then equally as good numbers on YouTube.
Mhm.
And you can grow the sport, and I think the PWHL are doing a fantastic job so far.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because it's I got Sportsnet on in the back here, and it's the Canada USA Women's Rivalry Series, and they got full coverage on Sportsnet. Like it's huge for growing the game. There's people in the stands, there's people watching. It's for young boys and girls out there to see that. It's that's how you grow it, you know.
Well, something that I watched yesterday, and you'd probably be better set to tell me about this, but they're talking about the growth of football in Canada. It's now like the highest played sport in Canada. Like kids are
Yeah,
going, you go out and buy a soccer ball, and you can buy a pair of footy boots, and you're set. Like obviously, what they were talking about um the Greater Toronto Hockey League, like in that area. Back in the day, it used to be like 3,500 plus, 2,000 on kit or whatever. Say 5,000. Now they're talking on average to put your kid through a triple A program is $50,000 Canadian a year, which is fucking insane.
it's nuts. Yeah, I did some coaching last year for a summer hockey team, and like just the expense that these parents pay for this summer hockey programs, 6 weeks long. They go to 3 or 4 tournaments, and like the kids are good, but like geez, you got hotels, you got meals, you got travel, then you got, sticks are $300 a pop. Um, all the gear's expensive, and then the fees, like, there's some parents out there that got 2 or 3 kids doing this, and it's for 6 weeks, it's 10 grand a kid. It's like, geez, that's
But the
a
average
really income for
salary,
some people.
they were saying the average salary in Canada across the board is $40,000, right? So if you're just on an average salary, you and your missus, $80,000 you're bringing in. If you then want to send your kid away to a AAA program, is 50,000.
Yeah,
It's and then that's in Canada. Like it's expensive here. We don't even have AAA programs. But I talked recently about it being £100 trial for England. Like
yeah.
£100 a trial for your country is insanity.
Yeah, a lot of these sports, like, oh man, it frustrates me. They're just like, it seems like they're kind of they're pricing out new fans. It seems like, even you watch the stuff on the Super Bowl, like $10,000 a ticket. Like, no kid is going to get to have that memory with their parent, their dad or whatever, going to the Super Bowl game. Cause like, who can afford that, even going to a playoff game in Canada in the NHL, it's like, you're going to be $500 a ticket. Like, who's some people, obviously a lot of people have the money, I guess, somehow, but for developing new fans, like it seems like you're pricing it out, so pricing people out of that. So it makes sense that football is growing huge in Canada because people don't get priced out of it. Maybe slower because you can't run through the snow and play soccer or football
I
12 months of the year like you can here, but it makes sense. And hockey needs to find a way to not price people out of the game.
think what Wayne Gretzky, I can't remember the company he's partnered up with, but we spoke about it on here before. Wayne Gretzky's partnered up with a stick company, and you can get 3 sticks for like $100 from Walmart, Canadian Tire, Bell Tire, and all that shit. Initiatives like that are so huge. Like
Yeah, I saw that.
imagine you're skint, yeah, and your kid goes out and is fucking taking one tees at the end of practice and he breaks 2 twigs. Like you're gonna have to work for an entire week of work to
Yeah,
buy that kid another 2 sticks. Like
yeah.
that's
It's
madness.
especially when it's easy for parents to get caught up in the rat race too of making sure all their kids have the top stuff. Like, I don't really think a kid needs a $300 stick. I when I was a kid, I had to when the Synergy came out,
Sin
still
bombs.
best stick ever.
Oh yeah.
I had to I had to save up my money for a birthday or two and buy my own, 'cause
Washing cars and fucking
yeah,
doing all the shit that you had to
yeah,
do. But it is, and it's so wild. Like the price point entry to play this sport now. Oh, ultimately, we, especially in a small nation like ours, hockey nation like ours, you're pricing a lot of kids out at the entry, you know.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, right? I was having this conversation with a couple of the British guys on the bus ride home the other night, and you know, you need more facilities, you need more access to the game. It's not a solution you can find overnight, but you know, you need to work at it, right? Like I was saying, like where I come from, there's literally a rink in every single town. So you have so much access to ice time. Yeah, sure, the equipment's expensive and stuff like that, but there's just access to ice, right? And it's something that I think needs to improve here. Kids need more access to get onto the ice. You know, even an area like Guildford, probably same population as Regina, Saskatchewan, where I'm from, about 200,000 or whatever. I think we were talking, we have like 23 rinks in Regina. You know, there's one in Guildford, and that serves like even all the towns around, and you know,
Yeah.
so
And then the next one is Basingstoke, which is my neck of the woods, and the fucking thing's falling down,
yeah,
and then you start looking. So sure enough, if this one shuts, you're going to see an influx of Basingstoke kids heading Guildford, heading Slough, but there's like no facility down towards Brighton, none towards Cornwall. Like there's places up in the northwest where there's no ice rinks. There's so many untapped markets, like you said, like Saskatchewan or Toronto. There's all these markets and they're all tapped. They're all tapped for hockey. There's so many markets, so many places in the UK that have never had a rink. We could have the fucking next Liam Kirk in one of these towns, but unless there's an ice rink facility anywhere near them, how are we ever going to find these talented kids?
yeah, for sure. I went to the Isle of Wight a couple weeks
Oh,
ago, and
did you? You went to the island?
I saw the rink out there. It was pretty funny.
Mate, honestly, one of my favorite. I played on the island for a year and a half.
Oh, did you?
One of the best fucking places to ever play. It's so much fun. The boys are fun. Like the fans are fucking nuts. Like the fans were so dire. There's nothing on the island. When I played there, they had speedway motorbikes and us. And like we were the top of the pops, you know, the entire island loved it. And again, that's another facility. It's sitting there empty.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, the pad's still in there. I know it's derelict now, but the fact that you've got an ice rink there and it's just
Yeah, you need the
no
you need some
funding.
you need some funding, exactly. Yeah. And
It's sad, mate.
you need some people to be lobbying to the government and to get that funding and you know, and then as it grows, it picks up momentum.
I was hoping that once Clifton Wrottesley got the head job at Ice Hockey UK, Clifton being a Lord, also being an Olympian, being a former athlete, I thought when he got the job, maybe that would open some more doors for, you know, potential funding, more government funding, especially when you see the amount of money that a government wastes on other shit. Like it's like, will you please just put some money into, as you say, the biggest spectated and probably played indoor sport in the UK? Yet nobody cares. I think until we start getting on that mainstream and into people's minds, into people's TVs, into their houses, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. I try and invite you know, a few people every year that I know haven't seen a game from around here. You know, we make friends with people through my partner's her work. She has friends, and every time they come to a game, they're like, "I love this. Like, this is the best. When can I come again?"
Yeah.
And stuff like that. And it's so like it just needs to get, like you said, just needs to get in front of people's eyes because once they see it, they love it. You know.
In fact, I did think that both games that I've been to recently in Guildford, both pretty packed out. I think the first one, in fact, was a sellout. Second one, maybe a little bit quieter, but still 1,900 fans in there. Atmosphere seems better this year. Excuse me, do you boys notice the change in atmosphere on the ice?
Yeah, I mean, I've always thought we've had good fan support here. You know, it's like it's a lot of the same people. I think like I get to know them just from seeing them at games all the time and stuff like that. But you know, we had good fans. You know, and I think, you know, even if we had a bigger rink, even we would get more fans. and you see the other rinks like like we were talking about Sheffield and Cardiff's always packed. Even Glasgow's getting sellouts this year and stuff. Like people want to watch and people want to go to the games, and the atmospheres, in Guildford has been good. We have nights where, Wednesday nights or something could be obviously more people in there, but for the most part, we're getting great crowds and they're loud and it's fun. And even the guys that come over, like they love it because it's not the same. Sometimes some of those rinks in North America can be kind of like pretty quiet and stuff like that, unless it gets to playoff time. But it's always
Yeah,
pretty loud.
then everyone's going crazy for the playoffs.
Yeah.
How nice would it be, and especially with the success of Guildford, they finished second last season. You boys are currently sitting in third. You're 4 points behind Cardiff. You're in the mix near the top of the league again. How good would it be if even if the facility ended up being, say, a Cardiff size or something similar to that, having those extra 1,200 fans come through the door, grow the game in the area, and bring more people into the sport. Bring, like you said, people would come if there was more seats. Do you think it's time that Guildford get a new rink? I know Hepburn has been trying for as long as I can remember to get a new rink down there, but is there any word? Are they trying? Like, what do we hear?
I know they're trying. I know they're trying, and obviously, when things with governments, things don't happen quickly, right? And it is a facility owned by the borough of Guildford, so it's not a private facility. And space is limited here, I guess. But I
And a premium in Surrey, like,
yeah,
it's an
I
affluent
think
area.
it would be huge. It would be huge for us too, especially if there was, a double pad. Like the ice is always busy here. Like guys from other teams come and they see, a couple hundred people on a free skate before the game, and they're like, "What is going on here?" Like,
And it's
but
wild, eh? 400 people doing a session skate before before you guys are playing in 2 hours. It's wild.
yeah, yeah, so if they could get another pad and then like a Cardiff sized facility or whatever, get a few more fans in there would be nice. I think it would help us a lot too for player recruitment too, because I think that's one thing that you battle with some of the top teams is the nicer facilities for players to come in when they come to play. But like because this is Guildford's like in terms of a place to live in the UK, it's pretty top tier. Like it's
Oh yeah.
awesome. We got London right there. We got Guildford's a beautiful area. The icing on the cake would just be to have and I have no complaints about the Spectrum. Like I like the Spectrum. It's got good gym up there. We got the sauna, steam room, the hot tubs, cold tubs, everything. Our changing room is fine and stuff. But from a fan's perspective too, like that, it's it'd be nice to have a facility where you could have the jumbotron in the middle and create a little bit more of that atmosphere. And I think it'd be great. And I know it's coming. It'll come eventually for them here, but I
Especially now that you're an established elite league club, you're in the top league. Doesn't look like you're going anywhere. You're not doing like an MK Lightning where you go up and then you go straight back down to the National League. Guildford are an established elite league club now, and it's very much field of dreams. Build it and they'll come. Like if you put a
yeah.
5,000 seat stadium arena in Guildford, eventually they'll fucking fill that place.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, we're here, we're in the league, we're not going anywhere. And like that was the thing when we first got here. I came the first year they moved up to the elite league, and it was it was kind of just trying to compete. And now it's more to we want trophies. We want trophies here, and we want to keep building one of the best programs in the UK for developing players and also for success being measured by trophies.
Well, you got a chance to get one.
Yeah.
How, let's fast forward the conversation. I was going to ask you about this later, but when we're on the trophy talk, realistically, I think Sheffield are going to win. I know you boys are going to still play all the way till the end, 54 games. You're going to do your thing, but realistically, the two trophy opportunities are going to come in the form of Challenge Cup and playoffs. That brings me to the playoffs. Would you like to see the playoffs? And I know people are going to at us straight away. Yeah, the money, the fucking money, the money, fuck the money. Would you like to see playoff series?
Of course. Yeah, that'd be way better. You still only have 8 teams that make playoffs, so you have to stretch it out a bit, even if you went to maybe the first round is a best of 3 and then you go best of 5 and a best of 7 or something. I don't know why the money thing would come in, because then you have more games, right? So you have more gate revenue. Uh,
Well, they make a decent chunk of change from the Nottingham playoff finals weekend.
yeah, yeah, I get that, but for the clubs themselves, there's got to be a way that they could have, find that. I like the fact that the league title means a lot. Well, it's the best thing, obviously. The league title is the top trophy. Because you look at a team like, say, the Boston Bruins last year in the NHL, best season ever, and it's like that's just got completely thrown aside because they lost in the first round.
Yeah,
And
get speed bagged in the first round. It doesn't matter, right?
I absolutely love the playoffs at home. Like the playoffs, the hockey is just, it's unbelievable to watch. And I think you could create that here where it's like, holy shit, this is unbelievable hockey to watch. Everyone takes their play up for, playoffs. But when you get to that final weekend and it's one game, and it can be over for your team, or 2 games and you could win it all. It's kind of anticlimactic in a way, whereas you don't have that huge buildup and seeing a team grind through a series and battle through these injuries and adversity. And you know you get more of a chance for some of the teams to maybe get to know their opponent a little bit better, and you maybe have some more upsets, and you'd have some more, some cooler things happening for the clubs and for the fans, because you can develop huge rivalries that way too.
The one sticking point we do have here is, as you say, we don't have the luxury of many facilities. So, you can't have Sheffield Arena lying empty. You can't have Motorpoint Arena lying empty because there might be a game 5, there might be a game 6. Like,
Yeah.
I imagine to hire that place out, it's going to cost you a lot of money, and then for nothing to go in. I do understand, but realistically, with the top teams in the league, if we started seeing series, they're gonna go. There's not gonna be many sweeps, is there? Like maybe in the first round, but if it's best of 3, it doesn't fucking matter. Nobody's losing anything. Once you get to
Yeah.
the best of 5s and best of 7s, for the most part, I think like right now, if you played Cardiff in a best of 7, I would think it would go 7. If the Steelers played, maybe I would normally say Belfast, for example, but maybe not this year. But if the Steelers were to play Belfast again, I'm going to bank on that. Come playoff time,
Yeah.
going 6, going 7. Like it's
Yeah.
not going to be many times that the arenas are sitting empty.
No, I don't think so. And even, yeah, I guess, yeah, I don't know the economics behind it all for them, of what it costs to have that and then not use it. But maybe to get 3 more games than you thought you would get would balance that out, for if you had to have
Yeah,
it booked but not use it.
yeah, and that could be it.
Because those games are going to be sold out, all of
Yeah,
them.
guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed sellout, guaranteed biggest 50-50 prize fund of the year, like all these things. Come playoff time, hockey fans would love it here. I can't explain to somebody that's not really played the game or been a part of it, like, how different it is. And you talk about like the step up. You guys step that play up, and they're like, oh yeah, but why don't you just do that for all year? Because you can't do it for 60 games. You'll be dead become March. Like,
Yeah.
but if you know that you're going into a best of 3, best of 5, best of 7, and you've got potential 15 more games, you can do it for 15 games.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
You'll
that
find a way.
players love it too. I mean, you just get that adrenaline of playoffs, and like the atmosphere of the games and everything, and you just take your game up a notch. Like there's nothing better than an elimination game, after you've fought out a hard series against a team, like those games in Nottingham, they are elimination games, but you're coming into it like one game, it's like anything can happen. But you get a series going, and it's like, okay, you don't play well the first game, then you get a chance to regroup and go back at the team, and it becomes as big of a mental game plan as it does the physical as well.
I obviously I've been singing about it since I started this podcast. Maybe one day someone will listen, but it doesn't seem to be happening anytime soon. Well, let me ask you a question then. What's one thing you do really like about the Elite League?
I love the different fan bases. I think, even from just being here for a while, like going to different rinks, they all there's something special about every fan base. I like that there's loyal fans to teams when, some teams haven't had, since I've been here, haven't had success, and they still get their fans. They're still loud and proud about them. I like the competitiveness of the Elite League, especially, obviously Sheffield's ahead of everyone, but like the league has come to a point where, in my first year, there was teams where you just knew you were going to win. Like, you're playing Edinburgh, you're playing MK or whatever. You kind of knew you were going to win. And now, it's kind of like on any night, like any team can beat any team. It's very competitive, and it's awesome hockey. I think this year's the best hockey that the Elite League's had since I've been in the league, anyways.
I think that the play's good. The one thing that I feel is kind of let down, and this is kind of hockey across the board, the physicality. Obviously, you play this kind of very similar way that I kind of play. You want to chip in with points, but you want to hit guys. You might want to drop the gloves. You want to be like a rat prick and do whatever you want to do. I think we're taking away too many guys like that. Like I do miss the physicality of the game. I count on one hand the amount of big hits that I've seen in the last 10 games that I've been to.
Yeah, and that's coming out from the grassroots. Like, they've even in Canada, I think they've taken out hitting until players are 14 years old, so that, they don't have that physicality from when I grew up playing, or even before me. Like kids were hitting, body checking at 9 years old or 8 years old. Um, so that kind of just works its way out of the game over time. And then I think the head injuries is the big thing with the fighting. There's been a lot of sad stories and coming out of the NHL and other leagues too, of guys who have had a lot of head injuries, and then those have developed into, addiction problems and
CTE and everything else.
yes, some guys losing their lives due to that. So
The crazy thing is about that though, if you ask those boys, would you do it all over again? Now that they're sitting at home retired, they'd be like, "Fuck yeah, let's go."
yeah, for sure. And it's always a choice, right? Like when I see that stuff and guys say, "Oh, I had to fight, now I'm this and whatever." It's like, well, that was your choice. You didn't have to. You did it. But um yeah, it is. I always enjoyed that physical part of the game. I I don't think that hockey needs the guy who can't even play, but
It
just
doesn't need like a Tai
out
Domi.
just out there trying to hurt someone. Like I don't think that belongs in the game, but you definitely sometimes uh the game needs to be policed by the players a little bit more. And we don't really have that anymore.
No, we don't. But even like, I don't need two meatheads, but like, I'll use like a Tom Wilson, a Foligno, someone that can play the game, bump some bodies out there, and should you
Yeah.
need the game police, they're there. And
Yeah.
I like that. I think obviously I've seen hockey all across Europe this year. I've been traveling all over, games in the DL, games in the Czech Elite, Czech Extra League, Slovakia. I think the physicality is still there. Like there's still like good amount of body checking. There's never really traditionally been that many fights in those leagues anyway. But
No.
I think the elite leagues maybe slowed down a little bit in terms of physicality. It might just be the games that I'm at. Obviously, you're playing every night, so you would know better than I would. But do you think the physicality's gone down since maybe like day one versus now?
Yeah, I think, well, like there's still guys are so fast now. Everyone's fast.
Yes.
So when you do get hit, like it hurts. But like there's definitely less physicality. There's less predatory hitting, I think.
Yes.
Which I think is a good thing. I mean, how did you find it when you were watching games around Europe? Was there a lot of guys finishing checks like
Yeah.
Germany?
Every hit, every
Yeah,
single hit.
yeah,
Like you never seen a guy forecheck and then curl away. You never seen a guy, come into the board battle and just turn away or attempt to. Every hit was finished, which I like because as well as I do, like you keep chucking the puck in that D man's corner, you keep fucking bumping him, keep bumping him. You might have to bump him 25 times, but eventually he's going to turn that puck over, and that might be the goal that wins the game.
Yeah, exactly.
You're just
It's
trying to wear him down, right?
yeah, for sure. That's something we talk about all the time is, especially, a game like last night was just keep putting it in their corner. We think, we can wear them down over time, and it did pay off for us like huge.
And
Start
that's what I want it. Keep it like that. Like keep those bodies getting bumped. I'm with you. I don't want to see predatory hits. I don't want to see guys getting fucking conkies and getting their head taken off. I
yeah,
mean, I've had plenty of conkies. I still suffer some ill effects every now and again. I don't want to see guys getting elbowed in the head or anything like that. But I don't also want to see a guy skate 80 feet and then turn away and not finish a hit. It's like you've
yeah.
skated all that way, but you might as well just bump a body.
Yeah, I don't know the full details of it, but some guys were talking last night about how some of the suspensions being handed out are just massive too. Like maybe that's deterring guys a little bit. I've heard about these in the second league. I haven't seen them
Oh my
myself.
God, mate.
Some of these suspensions are
Yeah, Department of Player Safety ran by fucking Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles. It's a joke. Like, and the numbers just seem to come from nowhere. Be like, oh, that's 16 games. Like, how? This is 15 games. And then you watch it, you're like, it's not even either A, it's not even a sussy. Like the big one that we spoke about on the podcast this year was in the third league, in fact. And a guy named Darcy Flanagan that plays out of Oxford, an import, he made a hit. He got called a hit to the head. We see the video. It's not a hit to the head. He steps up on the guy. They drop their gloves. They have a fight. And spirited bout. Both big boys. Both chucked down. No one got hurt. Fist pump after. Everything's good. And he come out. He got 12 games for a hit to the head. And it's like he
12 games.
didn't make contact with the head. And it turns out it went all the way back. And since then, like we did a couple of expose pieces on it. Barry Archer, who was the chairman at the time, he's now gone. They had brought his buddy in who was acting as a barrister, who wasn't even on the bar. He was getting they were charging 500 quid every time someone wanted to appeal. He was taking 350 quid to send a fucking email. And he never had any clue about ice hockey. He openly said to Morsey and Oxford at the start of their appeal process, he's like, I don't know hockey. It's like,
Yeah.
how the fuck are you making any of these decisions then? Like,
Yeah.
so I know the Department of Player Safety have employed somebody new who I think is going to be fantastic. I'm not going to give it away on here, but he isn't going to come into place until the summer where he can put his own plans in place and roll out his own structure. But I know from talking to him, a lot of the shit that's going on this year will no longer be happening next year. It's going to change. It's going to be more people that know the game, involved in the game. Let's say, for example, you retire, a guy like yourself who's played, is experienced, he's played different levels, played different countries. He'll lean on people like that for advice, as opposed to people that have never played, don't know shit about anything. So I
Yeah.
think there could be promising signs in that. I'm gonna wait and see it, and we'll see how it plays out. I don't think the elite league's been too bad. There was a couple of hits this week. There was Prairie, or however the boy from Nottingham. He gives your old boy there, McNulty, a bit of a headbutt. McNulty thinks he's at the fucking Oscars. He's flying back. I was like, real time. McNulty could just grab him and speed bag him if he really wants to. He's a lot tougher than that guy. But it's like in the National League, even though how like minimal contact and stuff, that guy's probably looking at 10 games. Whereas I think in the Elite League, he might get one. He might just get the 5 in game. It might be nothing. But then
Yeah.
the big one fans have been talking about this week. I'm not sure if you saw the Sam Jones hit against the Clan.
Yeah. Good hit.
Don't put yourself in a position where you can get your head hit. The only reason
Yeah.
your head is hit is because your head is here. And we go back to like the hitting and hitting out in Canada until you're 14, stuff like that. Do you think the missing curfew boys were talking about it this week? Who was it Brendan Dillon smoked? Brendan Dillon smoked somebody in the show.
Nola Chari.
Noah Chari. Know that hit's coming. I know, like, if I was still playing, I'm waiting for that guy to step up and hit me there. You got to protect yourself as much as as much as they say the onus is on the hitter. Fergie, if you're chasing me down and you're going to hit me, I'm gonna be ready for you to hit me because I know you're gonna hit me. I'm not gonna put my head in a vulnerable position where even if you don't mean to, that you can make head contact. I'm gonna tuck my head out the way. I'm gonna try and get my body there. I might even try and get an elbow up. I might try and get a stick up, depends which way you're coming. I'm gonna try and protect myself. I think a lot of guys, including the boy there from the clan that got hit by Jonesy, didn't protect himself at all.
Yeah, I mean that was tough one. He's skating down the wall and it brilliantly timed hit by Sam Jones. Like it was
Great.
a nice hit. Unfortunately he gets hurt on the play. But yeah, like you said, maybe you gotta when you're coming down the wall like that, you gotta realize, hey, I just gotta get this puck in because someone's gonna be coming, you know. But that's just as much, you know, like you're saying, just as much on the player carrying the puck to say, I gotta protect myself or I gotta make sure I'm not setting myself up to get smoked here. And same with the one in the NHL there, the guy's skating down the ice and you could see that coming from
From
like
a mile.
yeah. Yeah.
Like, and he's a big boy. Like, and that's the other thing. Like, I sometimes feel hockey now. Be aware who you're on the ice against.
Yeah. Oh, for
Like,
sure.
there was a guy that used to play in Coventry for years by the name of Steve Carpenter. Canadian guy, you know, just fucking country tough, but could play the game. But he was like the UK Scott Stevens. So he used to make his favorite hit was you're coming down the left wing, he's playing left D, you cut the middle, and then you wake up in the hospital. Like, you
He's
know,
coming.
like, but
Yeah.
it was one of them. Right? That was back when I played in the Elite League. I was like, right, I'm on the ice, Steve's on the ice.
Yeah.
Everything goes along the wall, everything goes in, never cut to the middle, don't cut
Yeah.
to the middle, don't cut to the middle. And you're telling yourself that before the game. You're like, don't try and beat
Yeah.
the guy. Don't try and beat the guy to the inside because Steve's gonna fucking put you in hospital. Like he
Yeah.
will catch you. You have to be aware. I feel sometimes now, guys aren't aware who they're on the ice against.
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, I always think of it when I know there's a guy out there that likes to lay the body. It's like, okay, well, if I come down there, he's gonna pop me. And you know, sometimes you know you can think that too. You can say, well, I'm gonna put myself in there so I can put my shoulder into him. You know,
Yeah,
he thinks I'm coming. He doesn't think I know he's coming. But yeah, it's just as much on the well, it's more on the guy. You know, because when you go to hit someone, you can't control what the other guy does with his head. If his head goes down, or if he bails out at the last minute, and you end up hitting him in the head, it's like. I don't believe that anyone who goes to make a hit is saying, okay, I'm gonna try and put my shoulder right into this guy's jaw.
I
He's
genuinely don't think there is either,
yeah,
mate.
the guy doing the hit, he's thinking, I'm trying to hit this guy, trying to get the puck off of him. You know, yeah, sure, you're trying to rock him and get the boys a little momentum, but um, no one's out there going, I want to see if I can put my shoulder into someone's face. Like, I don't think that's what's happening, you know?
So the one the fans have been bitching about, as the videos doing the rounds. I don't know if you've seen it on Twitter. It's our boy Ben O'Connor. A couple of hits against Dundee. Is it Nass from Dundee?
Yeah,
And they're like twice. He's fucking trying to hit him in the head. He's trying to do this. I watched both hits. I'm like, no penalty, no penalty. Two good hits. Like, don't see a problem. First one, he separates man from puck. Second one, body contact's here. Like,
yeah,
and the
Ben's just trying to hit the guy so he doesn't have to skate back to the D zone.
yeah, so he doesn't have to back check. To be fair, he made the hit and he was back out, back in his position. He was flying out there. But
Yeah.
it's it's wild. Like Ben O'Connor is not a dirty player. So the fact that like the fans
Yeah,
jump
I
on that,
gotta argue with you on that. He cross-checked me in the face one time, knocked out my teeth.
oh shit, go on, let's tell that story. Let's go.
Yeah, you should bring that video up sometime. It's probably on, you could find it on YouTube, no problem. It was when he was still on the Steelers. We were kind of getting into it in front of the net, and I was asking him if he wanted to fight, and
Nope. Nope.
but so then he was like trying to cross check me, and I grabbed his stick in the middle, and then perfect timing, I let go of his stick right as he's going to, and he just
Oh
right.
no.
I think he got 3 games, two games maybe for it, but it's kind of funny. This was the first,
I hope he bought you a pint when you became teammates.
yeah, the first time I met him because he lives next door to me too. He's like, I owe you a pint, you know?
Yeah, and some new jibs.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. but you can. Are you surprised that Tedesco didn't pick up where he left off? Because obviously he was in Guildford last year. He was right there behind Scott Conway. I think we were talking like 80 plus points. He seems to have been struggling a little bit in Belfast. I know he got a couple of goals last week, so hopefully that's the monkey off his back. But are you surprised you didn't just see him kick on when he's with one of the better organizations in the league?
Yeah, I mean, I like he's one of my, one of my good buddies. He I got along with him great, and obviously played on a line with him most of last year.
Oh, so it's just that the fact that he's not playing with you, eh? That's
Yeah,
why he's not picking up
yeah.
the points.
Well, maybe it's Ryan Tate because he can't just throw the puck up the wall and he's going a million miles an hour.
That guy's a
But
joke, by the way.
um, but yeah, like our style of play was really good for Teddy. It was he had a lot of freedom in how he could play, and I know they, in Belfast they've always had a team that plays a very good structured game, and maybe that's not that took some time for him to adjust. But honestly, every time we've played against them, I think he's been their best player. He can control the game because he's so patient with the puck. He's probably just been a little bit snake bitten. He was their best player in Champions League. I think he
Yeah,
scored
he
some
was.
big goals for them. So I know that our style of play was good for him, but I just think he's had some tough luck. Like he's unbelievable with the puck, and he's got great skill and everything. Uh, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes on an absolute tear here towards the
Well,
end of the
now that I think he got those two goals, and the commentators are saying, I think it was against Cardiff. I watched the
year.
highlights, and the commentators are saying, "Oh, that's going to feel good for him." And then he gets that was the first one, and then he gets the next one. They're going to be like, "Oh, he's starting to loosen up." I would again, as you say, I would not be surprised to see this guy go on a heater right the way through. I know he's gone on international break. He's going to be representing Italy right now. Again, he bags a couple of goals there, and he's going to come back ready to go for the running.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And like I said, like whenever we've played against him, like he's been a game changer for them. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he tears it up for the rest of the year.
Obviously, you guys have to then replace that point production, replace those goals. No one quite as prolific, but Frenella this year, I think he's sitting on 20 tucks in the league. Talk about this guy. I liked him every time I've watched him play. I like what he's got. I like what he brings. What's it like having him on the roster?
Yeah, he's great. Really good person too. He's like frick, he could this is size, and he can skate well. He's got good hands, and like he's like a threat every time coming into the offensive zone. Like for how big he is, he's one of the best one-on-one players in the league, I think. Like he can take D-men on, like he scores some highlight reel goals. Pete, like, been a little bit for how many goals he has. He's even been a little bit snake bitten. Like he's hit posts. He puts himself in great space on the ice to score goals. And rip on him a bit because he misses the net, but he's like he's got a ton of goals this year, and like I think he's unlucky to not have like 10 more because he's always creating, and a lot of people don't notice too, but he plays a big game too. Like he throws
Yeah.
the body around, he back checks hard, he's a good teammate. You can't really say enough good things about him because he's like there's a reason why he was in the AHL, and
Oh, okay. I didn't know he played in the A.
yeah.
Makes sense now that what I watch him play. That makes total
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. He's a great player. Yeah.
I'm just trying to find I'm just looking through your stats, not yours personally, but the
Yeah, I
team,
mean,
the
like
team
last year, you're talking about like Tedesco and stuff like that. And I think that was kind of the what we wanted to improve a bit this year was having a little bit more depth throughout the lineup, depth scoring.
less reliance on like
And we
one
started
guy.
off we started off horribly. Uh I think
What do
we
I have? If you can read my writing, what does it say at the top of there? It says slow
close.
start. Fuck
Yeah.
me, you boys were still in Cancun, weren't you, for the first month of the year?
Yeah, so we started off horribly, made some changes, and now we're kind of finding that throughout our lineup, like some depth scoring. Like even when we did start winning some games, it was we had a line with Hook and Pete and myself, and we were kind of carrying a lot of the mail in terms of scoring. But now it's like, last night, we got two goals from every line.
Perfect,
You know,
perfect.
the night before last week, we played Dundee. We get a goal or two from every line. The game before against Belfast, we beat them 5-2 in our building. We get a goal or two from every line. Like that's kind of what we need throughout our lineup, and that was kind of what we wanted to improve on. And at the start, we just didn't have that. We just had things just weren't clicking, and that happens, but it sucks in this league because instead of being 10 games into this season, I think we had 6 points. If you're on 16 points, then we're only 4 points behind Sheffield or something right
Yeah,
now.
right now.
So
Two players
that's
that, sorry, go on.
that's the that's the part of the thing you can eat you alive. Even last
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
yeah, we lose the league to Belfast by 2 points, and after Christmas, Boxing Day, and the 27th, we dropped 2 games against Manchester. That could have been the difference right there if we'd won those 2 games. So,
You also lost that game that I came to last year when Coventry had brung in the Hungarian goaltender,
yeah,
and I came to watch the game, and you boys fucking shit the bed.
yeah,
I was in the ref room talking to the refs afterwards, and Digger's a calm guy, man, but I could hear Digger giving it to you boys tight, and I was like, yeah, understandably, because it's those type of games at home. If you don't see it out, this league is, as you say, so competitive.
yeah,
Like
and
if
that's
you lose
why
those games, you're
That's
done.
why it helps. It helps a lot to have continuity in a team from one season to another because guys can start to understand that. And I think that's something that's helped Sheffield a lot this year is they got a lot of guys from last year that played, and then you start to understand. You start to say, okay, well, like every game is a pretty big game, whether it's September 15th or March 15th. Like the 2 points is the same 2 points.
Yeah, absolutely. A couple of boys that probably don't get talked about enough for you guys is Lalonde and Locke. I've been super impressed anytime I've seen them play. A couple of big bodies at the back there, lug the mail, eat minutes. How important are they to the success that you boys are having later on in this season now?
Yeah, I mean, Brad had a slow start statistically for him. And he was, a big part of our power play, and he can create offense with his shot, and he's good. He's had some unfortunate setbacks this year with some injuries and stuff, and I think he's starting to feel better. Like, we weren't even sure we were going to have him in the lineup last night. And, he was a big part of what helped us have success last night. Um, you know, and like Locker, you kind of just know what you're getting from him. He's a big, like there's, I don't know other guys on other teams, like, but I don't think there's anyone stronger than him in the league. Like you should see him in the gym. The
And
guy's lift.
he looks it on the ice. Like when you watch him
Yeah.
play, you're like, fuck, that guy's strong. Like
Yeah, and he's like fast, like for a big guy, like he's such a powerful skater. Um, you know, sometimes he could probably be a little bit more intimidating. But he's like, for what when you go into a game, you pretty much know what you're getting from him, and that's reassuring from a guy playing forward when you know that he's on the ice. You kind of know exactly what you're going to get from him. He's consistent. He brings a good effort, and
he's a meat and potatoes guy, isn't he?
yeah,
Like he's a guy that you need on the roster, can eat minutes. He's a big body. He's strong.
yeah.
Like you say, I would like to see a bit more intimidation factor from him because he made a couple of hits on that Cardiff game. I'm like, let's see some more of that. Like,
Yeah, and no
let's
one
see
wants
some
to
more.
go. No one wants to go near him because he's tough too. Like
He chucks
he's.
some nuts as well, eh?
Yeah, I'm glad. Like I said, I'm glad he's on my team and I don't have to play against him.
So looking against when we're talking about that sort of thing, glad you don't have to play against them. Who would you say is the best player in the league this year, and who would you say is like the hardest player to play against night in, night out?
Oh, there's a lot of good players in the league this year. You know, from from an all around guy that kind of makes his team better. Crawford, the defenseman for Cardiff,
Stud.
he controls the game. he's always on the stat sheet. He's a plus player, and he plays like a prick too. Like he's always cross checking you and stuff like that. Like I got a lot of respect for the way he plays the game. So I think he's one of the most important players to a team. But then you got guys that can seem to score like Sanford. He can kind of score at will. Tansy
Love
in
Tansy.
Sheffield, he's a prick to play against. I
Great
like
beard too.
yeah, I like the way Robert Dowd plays the game. There's just like every team's got a couple guys that are you're just like ah frick. Like even Glasgow last night, like that Pellich, he can kind of turn a game on its head. He's got that kind of game breaker skill to him. There's guys, on every team that you're just like, this guy's freaking good.
Outside of Dowdy, what Brit kind of impresses you the most in the league?
Um, Lewis Hook.
Yeah, Hookie's having a good season. 37 points. He's actually leading the way for you boys right now.
Yeah, he's he plays the game in such a way that's like it's so opposite to the way I play the game. Like he's so just like calm and
So relaxed, eh?
yeah, so relaxed. Like sometimes I wonder if he knows that there's guys trying to hit him because he's got the puck and he's just skating around up there and he's making plays and like so he's been obviously really impressive. I've liked seeing the way Wally's game has developed. Josh
Stud.
Waller.
Yeah.
When he was here in Guildford, like he was in practice, he was our most skilled player in practice. I'm like, this guy's freaking good, like so it's nice to see how he's come along and developed his game. Laco's having a very good year.
Hearing really good thing. I haven't seen the clan, but everybody that's talked about him, first person they seem to talk about this year is Lacko.
Yeah, like he's played more offensively, I think, from what I've seen. Like when we play against them, like I know he has that ability, and maybe his role wasn't quite that in Guildford, but he's looked good, and I think he's been one of their top guys all year. So, but yeah, a lot of them, Sam Jones, he's becoming a pretty good defenseman.
Yeah, good.
I haven't got to play much against Ollie, Betteridge, and Tetlow because I think they've been hurt a lot of the times we played Nottingham, but I know those guys are good British players. Um, yeah, so they're all like, I think for the most part, like every team, outside of maybe a couple teams up north, have British players on their roster that are like very important players to their team.
Yeah, massively.
In terms
Um,
of on ice and leadership and for the squad.
Speaking of British, you have one of only two British coaches in the league. I obviously played for Digger. He's a great guy. Do you think he's maybe? Uh, I think he is like an underrated coach within the elite league.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to say so. We've been in this league 6 years and we've never really had a bad season, like we haven't had a season where we finished below 500. We haven't had a season where we haven't made the playoffs. We're always kind of in the mix for the Challenge Cup. And especially as an organization that's the newer organization in the elite league, like Digger's done an incredible job with this team, and he also builds a team too. So he's got a lot of different moving parts for him, compared to maybe what some other coaches in the league have. They don't have to worry about being out there recruiting players and signing players and stuff like that. Like Digger's got to do that all. He I got
He's got a busy off season, that's for sure.
yeah. So I think I could be biased, but I think he's the best coach in the league. Just in terms of like guys really like playing for him.
I loved playing for Digger.
Yeah, and I think he does a very good job of walking the line of being friends, being friends with the players and getting to know the human that's not the hockey player, but then also trying to get the best out of the hockey player that's there too. So
I think because
I,
obviously the success he had as a player and knowing what it's like to be a player and being amongst the boys and then taking that step up to coaching, player coach first, and then full-time bench coach. I think that's really helped develop him into some fantastic coach.
Yeah, and I hope I don't know what his aspirations are, but I hope there's opportunities for him to coach the national team at some point too, because I think he's deserving of it.
I'd
But
love
yeah,
to see him as an assistant there right now. I know obviously we have Adam Keefe, Corey Nielsen, and Pete Russell being British himself. But imagine the 1-2 punches, Pete Russell assisted by Paul Dixon, and both your national team coaches actually hail from the country. They're both the elite league coaches, the two out of the two coaches. That would be great.
yeah, I think it'd be great, especially for the players coming up through the system where they can really relate to you know what they've come up through, as opposed to a coach that's not UK born and trained, maybe doesn't know to the full extent what these players have gone through coming up through the UK hockey system.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough go. It's a tough go round. We don't have everything the way we would like it in the UK right now. But I mean, hopefully tides are changing. We'll see how it goes. Um, Coming towards the end of this interview here, let's look ahead to this weekend. Two big games for you boys. Not who, sorry. What's the kind of mood? Obviously, you played last night. Did you boys skate today, skate tomorrow, or what's happening?
We took the day off. Uh, boys enjoyed last night.
Few pops.
It was a good win. Yeah, we had some team bonding. And then we'll be back on the ice tomorrow, get a good sweat, and be ready for Dundee and Fife on the weekend. It's two home games for us this weekend, so it's a big opportunity. You see other teams are they're all playing each other, so you got to win the games. We've had a tough time with Dundee this year, so we need to be ready Saturday.
They have the two guys that are the top two point scorers in the league right now.
Yeah, they got skill in that team, and like I was saying earlier, like there's no rollover teams anymore. Like even Fife coming in here, like they play hard and they got good players. They got a good goalie.
Really like
Like
Shane Owen.
yeah, there's no you can't go into any weekend anymore being like, okay, well, we're gonna win that game because you don't know. Like you can prepare your best, but you gotta bring your best every night, or a team's gonna turn you over.
I don't know how you boys do it and how you break your season down, but I know like when I played for Ryan Aldridge, for example, he'd come in the room and he'd have block of 5 games, and we need 8 points out of these five, and we need this out of this. If you're looking at your after this weekend, looking at your kind of run in there, you got the midweek game up in Sheffield. You then on the road again. You head into Coventry. You never know what Coventry team's going to turn up. If the good Coventry team turn up, you're going to be in a battle. And then home against the Steelers. You're then making road trips to the Clan, the Storm, and then you're back at home against the Devils. So the kind of next 6 games after this weekend, you got some tough games in there. But if you pick up the majority of the points, I know we joked about like the Steelers are pretty much sealing it, but if you get a couple of wins against the Steelers there, you pick up a win against the Devils, you're almost going to be cementing that second place.
Yeah, for sure. And we break it down based on opponents, right? Like we have 6 games against each team, and we have a goal for how many points we need to take out of those 6 games. So, I won't say which teams are which, but some teams you're looking to split or split or better, and then some teams you're looking to take all 12 points, right?
Yeah.
So then you go into it and say we're playing Dundee on Saturday. Well, we've only taken 3 points from them this year. So now we got to take the rest of the points. Like we got to
Yeah.
and then you look at like, Sheffield, that's a team, at the beginning of the year you see and you're like, okay, we gotta make sure we take 6 points at least off of this team. And we've only taken 2 off of them this year. So, out of those next 3 games against Sheffield, we gotta try and find 2 wins. And over the course of the season, we have those little points built up to try and get us to where what we think would win the league. And we kind of had an estimate at the beginning of the year. We thought, 80 points would win the league this year. So you kind of got to try and stay on track. But it looks like Sheffield's going to get more than 80 points. So,
Let's have a look. What are they sitting on right now? So I think it's also their points per game and their away record. It's just like a sick jet. Like what they
yeah.
lost like one on the road or two on the road all year.
What I think is the most impressive thing is their goals against. Like, I think they've played 34 games and they maybe have like 58 goals against or
And
something.
59 tucks against.
Yeah.
The
So
joke.
it's like, yeah. So you gotta find ways to score on them. Like
So
they're less
point
than
point
most.
0.89 points percentage.
Yeah. Yeah. It's impressive. Like I said, especially being what they've been through. Like you gotta tip your cap to them. But when you play against them, it's time to take some. It's time for them to suffer a loss.
So again, this is one of the questions that you can either swerve or you can answer. I think the refereeing's been better this year. The fans are still on Twitter. They're still fucking giving it to the refs every week. But from the live games I've been to, I've actually thought the officiating's been better. How have you found it?
Yeah, I think it's good, and I got a lot of time for these guys. I got a lot of patience for them because I know too that they need better training and they need more funding towards them. Because also like if we don't stay off of these guys and if we don't treat them with respect, like they're just gonna stop doing it, and
Yeah,
eventually there's gonna be
yeah.
no one that's gonna do it. We're not in a country like Canada where refs are lined up, hoping to get their chance to ref some pro hockey. Like these guys are doing it because they love the game. They're not getting rich from it. They're
Most
still,
certainly not.
they're still working their jobs. You think of a guy who, worked all day and then came and then had to do a game at 7:30 last night in Guildford, or four guys like that had to come do that after working a job. And in the heat of the game, sure, you
Yeah,
get
it's
disappointed
different.
at stuff, but I got a lot of patience for them, and I think they've been good. I wish that they could get um, some more resources for them, especially coming into a season. Maybe these guys can get them into a camp and get everyone on the same page. I guess the only frustration I would have is um, sometimes you just like I'll use say face-offs as an example. Um, it seems like the centermen don't really know the rules anymore because things have been changing, and it's like so on a night you could be in Scotland one night and have completely different rules in the face-off dot than when you come back the next night, and that's not a slight on the linesman. That's just they just don't have the pool of resources that said this is what has to happen, this is the expectation, this is how it needs to be called across the board and to be trained in that way. So I think they've been doing a good job, but I'd like to see them get more resources so that they can continue. We're trying to get better as players and they're trying to get better as officials, but they don't have the resources that we have as players to do that. And then, also they got thousands of people ripping them on Twitter and
Yeah, giving it to
whatever.
them.
Yeah,
The ones
which
that get me is right. I'll come back to this actually. So two things I think it can be improved, and again, it probably does come down to funding, but communication consistency, like communication with the players and the officials, and communication from the higher ups to the officials, and the consistency. You can't be having different rules in Scotland from England and Wales. Like it needs to be the same rules. You're a centreman, you come in to take a draw, stick down first, this here, and it
yeah,
needs to be the same across the board. But I think that comes from, as you say, more training camps, better education. The one that going on to the Twitter thing. If you're sliding into a fucking ref's DM after a game, threatening them and shit, like we get sent it all the time from officials. Fuck off, man. Like
get a life. Yeah.
get a life. Like get a life. It's a sport. It's a game. We play. We make mistakes. If you was to slide into a player's fucking DMs after every mistake he made, every player would be getting something slid into their DMs every night. Like
Oh, yeah.
it's not acceptable. Brett's already said it. If they're not going to ref line, we're not going to have a league. It's that simple. Like
Yeah.
it's not like we can just call up guys from the National League. The jump up's so huge. They have to be ready. They have to be bedded in. They have to get some experience.
Mhm.
Just be sensible. Think about what you're going to do. And if you have to think about it, it's probably not the right thing to
Yeah.
do. Stay out the refs' DMs.
Yeah. And I will say I don't think there's been any games this year where the refs have have affected the outcome. So
Can't say
that's
fairer
a
than that.
that's a compliment to the officiating.
Well, it's a huge compliment because, over the course of the season, you sometimes think 2, 3, 4, 5 games might be affected by it, and the fact that you're saying it's not, that's a huge turnaround, and that's a huge win.
Yeah, for sure. I got respect for those guys. They take a lot of heat and they shouldn't. And I hope that they know that the players appreciate what they're doing for us.
And the thing is, like, obviously, when I do these trips and I do the road trips and stuff, generally the first port of call for me after a game is I go into the refs room because you know what? Those guys are fucking fun. They're like it's no different from walking in the locker room with the boys. They love the game. They love the banter. In fact, these boys rip the piss out of each other as much as any hockey team I've ever played on. Like, I think I
Yeah.
was down in Cardiff for a game earlier in the year ago in the room. The boys are just giving it to each other. It's so much fun to be around. Like, and the passion they have for the sport. Like you can't come in from work at 5:30 and be at the rink for 7:30 if you don't love it.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, that's awesome to hear. Obviously I don't get to go into the ref room after the
Yeah, probably
game.
don't do that.
Um,
Otherwise, it would be like Fergie's paying off the refs in the next call. Oh, geez.
yeah, but I know it's good to see those guys are having fun too, because it's like we said, without them we don't get to play. So um, we need them.
We do need them. Right, Fergie, this has been awesome. One last question for you. And it's something we've spoke about on the podcast before. And obviously we touched on like the kind of TV and all that sort of stuff before. But would you like to see this was a fan's idea, so I'm not going to stamp all over it. But I got reached out this week and they're like, what? You're always talking about TV deals. You're always talking about this and YouTube and everything. And they said Amazon Prime are really, really struggling right now for mainstream sports. How and they've gave me like a statistical breakdown. They've gave me all the information. It's fantastic, really good piece of journalism. How cool would it be to have the Elite League, as the main sport on Amazon Prime, where you pay your 50 quid or 20 quid a month, whatever it is, and it's sponsored the Elite League. Your buddies from back home can just jump on their Amazon Prime, and there you go. You got Guildford Flames v Sheffield on a Wednesday night. Like, but Amazon have to then divvy back to the clubs what they would lose on the stream. So if everyone was making $2 grand a game or $3 grand a game, however much it is, Amazon kicked back, but every game was shown there.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like a great idea. I don't know. Obviously, there's more that goes
Oh,
into things than what we know. But I mean it seems like for one of these platforms like Amazon or something like, all the infrastructure's there. The games are already being broadcasted with the audio and everything. So for them, it can't be that huge of an expense, and that would seem like a win-win. But also, I don't know enough about corporate broadcasting to.
me
I
neither.
I think it would be great. Like honestly, the more exposure, the better. I would love it if all our games were televised and everyone could watch all the time. I think that would be ideal. And if some of that revenue gets to come back to the clubs and I get to get paid a little bit more, that would be awesome.
Show me the money.
Yeah, yeah,
The thing
but
is, right, I do understand the teams are going to be like, oh, yeah, we're going to lose money. We're going to do this. If there's a way of bridging that gap, there's nothing like going to a live game. So for me, I would never choose a live stream over a game. If I was going to the game, if I had the opportunity to go to the game, I would go to the game. But it would be nice if I couldn't get to the game to be able
yeah,
to just go bang, it's right there. It's on whatever platform I pay for. And that's it. And I think you would end up tuning into more games throughout the league. Like, I'm never gonna buy a Fife Dundee stream on a fucking Wednesday ever.
yeah,
But if it's on my TV and I just finish work, like, oh, Fife are
yeah.
playing Dundee tonight, bang, that's going on the TV straight away.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, then, like you said, it opens you up to, the rest of the world. Like,
Sponsors, everything.
you're not just looking for people that are going to a link that they have to find to buy it because they already have the intention of doing so. There's people that are just stumbling on it because they're on Amazon and they're like, oh, well, I'll throw this on while I'm cooking dinner and um, you know, get some new fans that way and grow the game that way.
I love it. Fergie, this has been a brilliant interview, buddy. I think all the fans are really going to enjoy it. I enjoyed doing this one. Hopefully, I'll manage to get down to Guildford once or twice more before the end of the year and catch some games. But I wish you all the best in the Challenge Cup final and on the run-in. And hopefully, we will see you at the playoff finals weekend.
All right. Thanks a lot, Waddy. I appreciate you having me. It's always good chatting with you, and hope to see you down at the Spectrum soon.
I might have to come and watch that practice. I want to see your goalie hitting one tees. Right, ladies and gents, do your thing. Like, comment, subscribe, share this all over, and we will see you again for another episode very, very soon. Peace.